Greetings, and welcome to A Year of Movies, a Planet Geek production. For this project, we are using the Ivan Walters reference book of 365 films to watch on the day they happened. Each day, we watch a movie associated with the date we are watching it on.
And as it is May the 9th, we are going to be watching Nixon from 1995, directed by Oliver Stone and starring Anthony Hopkins. So to begin with, this again, we're dealing with a movie directed by Oliver Stone, so it was kind of hard to avoid the actual production of this particular movie. The fact that we had not only a very strong lead actor to portray a very interesting political person in our history, that it was also the amount of other names that were attached to this project that made it quite an interesting thing to follow. However, that being said, I did not get around to seeing this movie until this actual watch right now. And not only did I just mention that this movie stars Anthony Hopkins, but it also stars Joan Allen, Annabeth Gish, Marley Shelton, James Woods, Powers Booth, and Ed Harris. So that is just like a small portion of the names that are part of this particular production. Again, the names are just so spectacular to see, especially when they pop up on the screen. And we go through the entire lifeline of Richard Nixon throughout throughout this movie. We actually start at the incident at Watergate and how that starts to snowball on Nixon, but we jump back and forth throughout his entire lifetime, not only doing his early childhood, discovering how his family was, but his early days in politics, to his actually politicking, becoming president, and as things progress throughout his life, up until his removing himself from office, to his life after politics, to his eventual funeral, which is actually kind of interesting because the actual movie continues on while the credits have started rolling, so the audience is watching more of the movie as the credits roll through, as we basically experience his post political life, and then his funeral. We get to see several different political faces of the time in archival footage. And that's the other thing about this movie. Oliver Stone does a fantastic job of using archival footage to fill out the reality of this movie. And even at parts, having his footage actually mirror that of the archival footage that surrounds the situation. He even sort of gets to a point where a lot of his photography is sort of Forrest Gumped, whereas he has like two political figures in a photo. And whereas one of the actors in our movie is portraying that person, he replaces the actor in the photo with the actual real political person, and it goes pretty seamlessly and whatnot. But it's a very entertaining thing to see. And again, everyone does a fantastic job. Mind you, at the very early parts of the movie, there was something that was bothering me about Anthony Hopkins, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Now, Anthony Hopkins does a physical impression of Nixon. He doesn't have any facial prosthetics or anything like that, but he holds himself. He holds his like jaw and all that sort of thing, and like his mannerisms look pretty good. But he doesn't do a audio impression of him. But the thing that it was is when they showed in like Oliver Stone's version of archival footage of Anthony Hopkins saying a speech as Nixon, obviously, his eyes somehow light up slightly, and it hit me just then. Oh right, Anthony Hopkins has very blue eyes, and that's what's throwing me off, is that they gave him brown contacts to be Nixon, which is kind of I settled into the rest of the movie after that, but it was like up until that point, I'm like, what is wrong with what's wrong with Anthony Hopkins? There's something. Doesn't use a lot of prosthetics. We do have other actors portraying other political people that do put on some sort of prosthetic, and some do actually really good audio impressions of the people they are portraying. But it's not like the mainstay of this movie. And again, we're dealing with the life and times of Richard Nixon, and it becomes a very fascinating way that Oliver Stone brings this story to life. And again, we're dealing with known information and then some sort of alteration of like visuals and all that. We deal with like Nixon having like dream sequences where he remembers his mother and whatnot. It kind of neat because a certain point of the movie is so far back in his past that it's all portrayed in black and white footage, which is kind of an interesting look. But yeah, it's a very interesting movie to have seen. And after the president orders the bombing of Cambodia, not only is he stunned by the the public's response to it, he visits the Lincoln Memorial at 4 a.m. on May 9th, 1970, where he talks to student protesters that are there. And that happens an hour and 46 minutes into this 3 hour and 12-minute movie. And when it came to the Academy Awards for that particular year, it actually ended up getting nominations for Best Actor for Anthony Hopkins, Best Original Score, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Supporting Actress for Joan Allen. Alright, so that being said, we're going to wrap up this particular episode and look off into the future, see what we're going to be watching for tomorrow, which is May the 10th, and that is going to be Deep Impact from 1998. So until next time, go see a movie.